Hello my crafty friends, and thank you so much for joining me. It is August 2020 and Karen Berniston has just released 16 brand new die sets. I'm here today to share with you 3 very different cards that I made using the same die set, which is the purse pop-up. My first card features the purse pop-up exactly as it was intended to be used. I made mine from a fun animal print. You may notice some cute accessories. They are from the Dolled Up Charms. I made a matching pair of shoes because what girl doesn't need shoes to match her bag? I'm not going to show you how to make the purse today because Karen already has done a wonderful instructional video, which is linked below. Instead, I'm going to show you 2 alterations using the same die set. We have a lot to do, so let's get started. For this card, I used some fun circus-themed stickers from Carta. I added the oval crosshatch right here to add a little color to the front. The circus has definitely come to town. For this card, I altered the purses and made them into a little circus train with 2 cars, one holding an elephant and the other the giraffes from the new safari animals set. You may notice that I extended the neck on the giraffes to make them appear to be looking over the top. If you haven't watched Karen's video yet, I suggest you do that before we get started. That way it will be easier for you to understand the steps along the way. I began by cutting out the purse pop-up and then finding the 4 vertical crease lines that the die makes for you. Eventually we're going to make this into a box so they are all mountain folds. There are also 2 vertical crease lines, but we're not going to crease those because we want this to be more flat. Since this is not a purse, we don't need these handles, so I'm going to snip those off. There is also a little slit on this side, and I'm not going to cut that off because what I'm going to do is use that for a guideline when I put my frame on. I made my frame from the new flip frame pop-up. It's just the perfect size for this project. Now I want the top of the frame to line up with that slit. That way I know it's going to be on there nice and straight. Now, as you can see, the frame is way too big. I'm just simply going to turn it over and cut it off even with the purse pop-up. Next I want to make an opening for the cage, and for that I'm going to use a square die that I had in my collection. It's just the right size. But if you don't have a die, you can use a punch or even draw a square and cut it out with your scissors. I'm going to line mine up as close to the center as I can get it, and I want it more to the top, so I want to leave a little space down here so later on we have a place to glue our bars. I'm going to take this to the die cutting machine and I'll be right back. Okay, here we have our little circus train with the opening. Earlier I cut a strip of paper using my trimmer and then just cut it in 3 sections. I'm going to turn our project over and I'm going to place the bars along the back, and you'll notice that they're way too long, but that's not a problem. We'll just trim them off when we're done. I'm going to start in the center and work my way out to both sides. Using the safari animal set, I've already made one of the little elephants. He is just so darn cute. I'm going to make one alteration to him because I want to have his trunk sticking out between the bars. So I needed to make a little snip right there, just between his head and his trunk, right at the top of the trunk. So now I'm going to slide him into the cage, put his little trunk sticking out. There we go. All right. Looks like he's situated, so I'm going to turn him over. I'm going to just put a little glue to anchor him down. Now it's time for the wheels. And I wanted mine a certain size. So I went digging through my circle dies, and what I came up with for the size I was looking for was the coin from the treasure charms. I made the red part out of that and simply cut off the little loop. For the inside part, I used one of the accessory dies from the surprise ball pop-up. The outside is about the size of a nickel, the inside about the size of a dime, and then I placed an enamel dot on top. Before attaching my wheels, I want to finish gluing my frame down, and to do that I'm going to fold it back so that I only get glue on this edge. You don't want it to cross the crease line, otherwise it's not going to fold down into your card correctly. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now I'm ready to attach the wheels, and I'm going to place them so the edge of the wheel is at the edge of the frame on the sides and that it's lined up with the bottom, just like that. Now as you can see, there's a little bit of the frame showing, and we're going to take care of that in just a minute. First of all, I want to put the glue in the center of the wheel. Place it on my project, just like that. Now, the reason I put the glue just in the center is so that I can fold this back, get my scissor blade right underneath that wheel, trim off that excess paper. Then we have a nice clean look. I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, now that we have our elements on, I'm going to close it up. I'm going to simply turn it over, fold the small tab down, and apply some glue. I'm going to fold the large side up so that it's even. Even it up along the bottom so it sits straight on our card. Now I have to wait for glue to dry. Since I made my circus card before I decided to make this video, you'll notice that I'm using some different papers, just for demonstration purposes. If you've already watched the instruction video from Karen, you will already have seen how to do this next step. However, since I'm not good at cutting straight lines by hand, I'm going to show you the way I do it. I'm using a circle. So I'm going to take the circle and the card, and I'm going to line it up on the crease the way I think I want it. See, position it, so that's what I want. So now I'm going to mark where the crease is on the orange piece, and I'm making a dark mark so you can see it on the camera. You just need to make it dark enough for you to see it, and so it's easy to erase. But for this purpose, I'm going to make them darker. So, okay. So it's marked. I'm going to take my trimmer and cut it where the marks are. I'm going to line the marks up right in the cutting groove of my trimmer, just like that. I'm going to cut it completely in two. I'm going to remove the trimmer. I'm going to turn the orange circle over to the back side. I'm going to match it up just the way it was before it was cut, and I'm going to take a piece of low-tack tape and I'm going to tape it back together. So on the front we have a cut in our circle. I'm going to erase those marks. Next I'm going to use the tab die that comes in the pop-up purse set. I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to line up these nubs where I cut the circle, like that. Okay, I'm going to hold that in place with a piece of tape. I'm going to take it to my die cutting machine and I'll be right back. Now that the tabs have been cut, I'm going to once again separate the circle into two pieces. Carefully removing the tape. Now we want to have that on the right side, and we want to push our tabs up. So we have, oops, one tab right here, the small tab. There's a crease mark right here, so just put your thumbnail right there, push it back. And the same thing for this one. It has a tab, or has a crease mark for the tab. Okay. So what needs to happen here? I've put glue on the top of the tab. Then I want to line it up so that it goes on the inside corner. So it's the right hand corner. And this is exactly the way Karen did it, except that hers was in one piece and I have two. So I'm going to put my pinky in there and just hold that glue for a couple of seconds and make sure that it sets well enough to mess with it. Okay, we want to do the same thing with this tab. We're going to put glue on the top side, not crossing the crease. We want to turn it so this tab goes on the inside right here. Whoops, right here. And we're going to put it right down to the end. Going to put our finger in there. Whoops, we want it all the way down. Finger in there to hold it. Okay, now the glue is totally dried. We have something that looks just like this. From the bottom, the tabs are there, and we have the split. I'm going to start with the small side and install this inside the card. I'm taking my glue, and on that small section only, let's move this out of the way. Okay, on the small section only, I'm going to put glue all around. You don't want to put it too close to that hole, but you want to get a good amount on there so it sticks down well. Okay, here's the crease of my card. I'm going to line the edge of this cut, where I cut the two pieces in half, right along the inside crease. I'm not going to put it over, but I'm going to put it right alongside, just like that. Now I'm going to take the larger section. I'm going to bend my card backwards so I have access to it. I'm going to put my glue on there. I'd like to make sure that I have enough that's going to hold it in place, because once you start opening and closing this card, you need a good hold. Now I'm going to lay the card out flat. I'm holding this up just a little bit, and as you can see, I'm lining the two circles up, but I'm leaving just a tiny bit of space right where that crease is. And then I'm just going to put it down, just like that. Okay, I'm going to give it a minute for that glue to set up. But you can already see that as you close the card, it's going to fold up just great. Now, you might want to just tuck this part of this wheel just backwards a little bit. Give it a little bit of edge before, so it gets used to folding in. Just like that. Get it closed, give it a press. Alright, look at that. How fun is that? There's our little elephant. He's all set to go inside the card. Close. Here's a fun view of the finished card. As you can see, I've added lots of fun circus elements. I'd like to invite you to come on over to my blog, where I'm sharing card measurements as well as helpful hints on what to do, what not to do, and how to place your circles so they all fit in the card. Next up, I have a masculine card. I also used the purse pop-up for this one, but I made it into a toolbox. I will be sharing the construction of the box. After that, it will be added to the oval and the inside of the card the very same way I did the circus. I don't have dies for the tools that are shown here, but if you stop by my blog, I'll be happy to show you how I made them. Okay, we're going to make our toolbox now. I did exactly the same thing as I did with the circus card. I cut out the purse pop-up, found the crease marks. The only difference is this time on this vertical one, the one that has the slit, we're going to crease that down. Actually, we want it to come forward eventually. This one I left straight because we want that to stand up. I'm going to put it in the embossing folder to give it a little texture. Okay, to emboss it, I left the handle sticking out. I've already colored it black, which is the color I wanted. And it fits in the embossing folder just right if you leave this little small tab out here. This embossing folder is the diamond plate, and it's an old one from Tim Holtz. I don't know if it's still available, but if it is, I'll link it below. Once it was run through the embossing machine, you can see it has the pattern on it. And it's pretty simple. We're just going to turn it over, fold this small tab down, add our glue just like we did before, fold it up, get it nice and straight on the bottom and the sides. Press that glue down. Okay, easy peasy. I'm just going to fold this piece down. To finish the toolbox, I cut out another section of the purse die, the portion that has the handle. And then I ran it through the embossing machine and I came out with this. So it is embossed. I've colored the handle. Now what you have to be careful of when you're making this piece is that you don't cut it where the crease is. It needs to be a ½ inch from here to here. I will give you more instructions on how I did this on my blog, so please stop by and visit me there. What we need to do next is take this piece, turn it upside down, add our glue, and put this piece just like this. So now you can see that when the toolbox is open, it's going to have a handle on both sides. What I've already done is put some foam tape on the back side of this. I'm going to peel off the backing, and I'm going to stick that down. That way it's going to stick out a little bit, but not enough to impede the operation of your card, and it looks like it's got the door open. After this portion is finished, all you're going to do is add your shape to your card, add your toolbox just as you did the circus wagon or the purse. The purse pop-up die set also comes with all the accessory dice to make an adorable suitcase, or you can let your imagination run wild, as my teammate Lois Bach did when she made hers into a medical bag. Thanks again for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give me a thumbs up. Until next time, bye-bye.